Ollie is a great tool to keep track of your raw material and packaging material inventory. It also allows you to reorder all of your raw materials and packaging materials and keep track of any lot to lot differences or order to order differences. So you can keep track of any increases in pricing and then also how all of that increase in pricing is affecting your finished goods cost. When looking at Ollie there's two sides to the system. There's the left-hand side, which shows all of your action items, and when it comes to inventory, what you actually have on hand. And then there's the right side, which shows all your actual inventoriable items. So if we go into ingredients on the right-hand side, you're able to input all the ingredients that you could possibly use or want to buy. There's multiple ways to do this by either adding a new ingredient via this new ingredient button, going into a current ingredient and cloning it, and bringing over a lot of the information that's already set and then doing any edits. Or we also have an import function that you're able to download a template and import new grain in. This is really helpful if you're deciding to switch from company to company to do a mass upload of your ingredients. You can track ingredients any way you want. In my demo account, I keep track of the name of the malt and then also the brand that I'm buying from, because some recipes I may call for one type of pills from one company and another a different type of pills. We also keep track of the color and extract find for grain. For hops, we keep track of the alpha acids. And for yeast, we keep track of minimum and maximum attenuation and min and max temperatures. For all your ingredients, you can set notification thresholds, which will pop up in your top corner. Once you start using ingredients, you'll be notified once you fall below this notification threshold. You can also choose a preferred vendor for an ingredient, so you know who you usually want to buy it from. Also a preferred order size, and then also your price that you're buying this unit from. So right now we're buying Pilsner Gambrinus, 55-pound bags from Country Malt for $31.90 a bag. This is really helpful for when you go in and you create a purchase order. You can go in and add line items to a purchase order. So say we do want to add some Pilsner to it. Your amount per unit that you actually are purchasing autofills. So we typed in Pilsner Gambrinus and it autofills our 55-pound bags that we're ordering. We can enter the quantity, so we'll order a pallet of our base malt, and then the unit price that we have entered will automatically fill in as well. We can save this order, and then you can go in and mark something as ordered. When this is complete, it moves from the draft stage to an open stage. And then you can go into that open stage and add additional costs like shipping, fuel surcharge, taxing, anything else that you want to add. When going in and adding these costs, you can type in the cost name, how much it's actually costing you, and then you can also choose which items you want this cost to hit, and then the allocation method. In this instance, our Pilsner will take on the majority of the cost. In this one, it's our Thomas Fawcett. We'll take on the majority of cost because we're ordering 30 bags of oat malt from Thomas Fawcett. So that'll take on the majority of the shipping and fuel surcharge. By doing this, when you go in and look at your raw materials, you'll be able to see how much you have on hand, and then also be able to see the average price of everything you have on stand. You can also look to everything that you have in stock, out of stock, or below thresholds. So right now we'll look at everything that's in stock and look at our Pilsner. Right now it averages at 63 cents per pound. When we go into it, we can see the two different lots that we have on hand from two different orders, and then we can see our cost per lot. So you can see there's a slight difference between these two. We can also go in and see all of our history of purchases. So here we can see how the price has changed over time. We can go in and look and see if a certain lot had a higher cost. And we can also dig in, view the transactions, and be able to see every batch of beer that used that lot of grain. This is all determined in your brew day. When you go in and start a brew day, you'll be able to edit what lot code you're actually pulling from. Here you can see we have our Pilsner grain. This lot code that autofills will always be your first in or your oldest grain. So we'll always pull first in, first out. However, you can go in and choose a different lot code if you want. When doing this and going in and looking at your batch of beer, you can click on the batch of the beer and look at your cost breakdown and see all of the ingredients used for that batch, what lot code of grain you used, their quantity, and their line item cost. We handle the cost of goods for the beer differently than some other systems. We're keeping track of the lot, and then all the poundage that you're using for that grain and for that lot code is going to be your cost. So we don't average it out like some other systems. If you had a batch of grain that was 61 cents, and then another batch of grain that was 63 cents, some other systems will just average it out at 62 cents no matter which lot you're pulling from. For us, if you're using the batch that costs 61 cents, that'll be your total cost for the batch. This is really helpful when you go in and you look at your finished goods. We can look at our table beer for half kegs. We can see everything we have in stock, but we can also look at all of them. So we can look at all of our previous batches of our table beer half kegs. We can see when we packaged them, and then we can go in and look at our unit cost. So after packaging was complete, all of the loss happened during packaging and filtering. We can see how much this beer actually cost us. We can also dig into it, be able to see a cost breakdown. So be able to see how much was on the packaging run, what our cost per package was, what our barrelage cost for the batch was, what our loss was, and how much that added up to our total cost of the beer, and then also any packaging materials as well. This works the same way as raw materials. It'll pull the correct cost for this certain lot code and then bring that into the total cost of the beer. You can also go in at the end of the month and do mass adjustments for all of your raw materials and also your finished goods. You can go over to the left-hand side to your inventory management and go to adjustments. When doing that, it'll bring up your adjustment screen, and you can go in and click all of your raw materials or just count your hops, just your grains, just your yeast. When you do that, you can go in and adjust your inventory, put in your new counts, and keep all of your inventory up to date. We also have a couple reports that are able to help as well. You can go in and look at your raw material usage. You can choose any date range you want to look at and be able to see the total pound of grains that you have. You can also look at it via a chart. You can also look at hops, and you can also look at miscellaneous items as well. We also have the ability to pull a inventory on hand report. You can export this and choose any date that you want to look at, and this will show all of your raw materials and what you currently have on hand. We also have an inventory value report. So similar to the inventory on hand, you can choose any date range or any date to look at, export this out, and be able to see what your value on hand of grains, hops, miscellaneous, yeast, packaging materials, finished goods, or work in progress beer is at any time. If you have any questions on inventory or how we can help, please let us know.